Welcome to the $1 million mansion. So I want to talk today about anxiety and how everything's going with that and how I've recovered over the last um not really long time actually. But how I was able to get over panic attacks without using drugs, without doing anything to make any difference. First things first, man. I'm not here to say I know everything. I have all the answers. I'm simply just here to say how I personally have gotten better about it. Anxiety can always come back, and obviously we all deal with flare-ups, but I am much better than I was a while back. So 3 years ago, I was really stressed out. I was trying to change my life. I was trying to move and do all these extra things, and it all started because I was trying to smoke marijuana to press things down and try to trying to mellow myself out because I've always been a pretty serious guy. Now I could be funny and do all that extra stuff, but I was trying to just become a little bit more relaxed because I always felt like I had to be this extra guy at work. I had to be so serious and try so hard, so I would start smoking. Well, that eventually turned into a stress reliever. Anytime I felt stressed, I would smoke, and then next thing you know, I was smoking to do every single thing in my life. And then any bit of anxiety that I had, and I didn't have like panic attacks. I didn't have severe anxiety. I just had nervousness like everybody else, you know. But the more I smoked, the more I started thinking about dying. The more I started thinking about paranoia. I was afraid to go outside. I started sitting in my room in the dark, and yeah, things just progressively got worse from there. And then eventually, I had my first panic attack. And, when you're a person who has a panic attack, it depends on how it's going to affect you. If you're a person who thinks about death a lot, yeah, now your panic attacks are going to linger because you already have that fear. If you're obese like me, yeah, you definitely think about having a heart attack. And then it kind of sticks with you. You kind of start thinking about what food you eat and all this extra stuff. So I had that first panic attack. I can't eat for days because I smoked marijuana one more time after that panic attack. So I just quit it cold turkey. Couldn't eat. Now I'm going through marijuana withdrawals, but the panic attacks are giving me the whole, dispersonalization, um, derealization, and all these kind of things, and it's jacking me up. Oh my gosh, man, those first 3 months of that first panic attack had me crying more than I've ever cried in my life. I thought about death every single day, and I thought about getting my life right. Talk about trying to, beg with God, like, God, please take this. If you do this, I'll save puppies in the forest. And it's just like, so I was in that whole mode. I was calling my buddy up every single day, like crying, like, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. Sorry, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. And that went on for a good while. The panic attack stopped after about 3 months, and I'm gonna tell you how I was able to do that. Um, So what I had to do is I read this book called Dare. I'm not sponsoring or saying you need this book. Um, but really, I'm just gonna tell you, it took only two sentences mattered to me. One, your heart can beat fast without you dying. Okay. The second one was you kind of got to face it. Like your own immortality, you kind of have to face it. They're like, okay, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. But you have to make a conscious choice. You have to make this conscious choice. This would happen. I don't know if my camera's crooked, but you have to make a conscious choice. I am going to, I am going to live my life regardless if I think I'm going to die. Which means, yes, I'm gonna go to the grocery store when I feel like I'm in the middle of a panic. Yes, I'm gonna go walk around and do stuff. No, I'm not gonna give up my entire life. I stopped working out for a while because I just could not stand my heart beating fast, and I love working out. Uh, you can't tell, but yeah. Um, but yeah, I worked out, and at some point I just said I'm not gonna quit my life for this. I'm just gonna keep going. I kept going to work, scared as hell. I kept working out, scared as hell, doing everything I could to get over the fear. And I just kept doing that. And that's the biggest thing that's helped me. So fast forward a year. I mean, after 3 months, the panic attacks died after I got that mindset. But the anxiety's still there. Like the ebbs and flows, if you know what I mean. Like where am I? That kind of feeling. I still used to get the anxiety wobbles. If you're walking around, you kind of feel like you're floating, or you feel like you're stepping off stairs and you're on flat ground. It's a weird feeling. It's hard to explain, but it's weird. But anyway, I kept doing that, kept getting better. Just dealt with it, man. I just kept dealing with it, and it didn't go away. I mean, the anxiety was still fresh. Like I still had trouble sleeping, still had trouble not thinking about intrusive thoughts, and took about 2 years, man. 2 years, every single day, feeling like it was my last day on earth. Every single day, feeling like it was my last day on earth, and I just kept pushing, and what then it finally came to a head. I so for me personally, my anxiety got so bad that it was making it hard for me to go to mass and stuff like that, and eventually I quit going. I know if you aren't religious, I get it, but this is just part of my story. This It's only gonna make sense if I say these things. But I stopped going to confession. I just I got so nervous and I fell so deep into my addictions because I just let my mind go, and so I stopped going to confessions, and that spiked my anxiety, um, because I kind of given up on myself. But eventually, it did happen. I'm sorry, there's a show going on in the background. Sorry if you can hear it. Um, so eventually, I just say, you know what, man, I'm just, I just got to this point where I felt like, man, I was just so sick and so tired, man. I eventually said, screw it. I texted my priest and I said, look, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm coming to confession. So I went there, I poured out my heart. So the hardest I've cried in a while. And I just said, I'm just tired of hiding. I told him about my anxiety. I told him everything that was going on and how I'm just scared of life. And I mean, I gotta say, my anxiety was probably, it used to be at 100%, maybe 110. 2 years later, it was probably about 85, 80%. After I went to confession, man, it went down to like 10%. Not even joking. And then the rest of it ended when another special thing happened in my life. And pretty much after that, man, it was all gone. And one of the things that helped me so much to get through the anxiety is just never allowing myself to stop living and forgiving myself. That's what kept my anxiety going so long. I could not forgive myself for some of the things I've done in my life. And it's so crazy because I have buddies of mine who feel the same way. Like they've talked to me and said, I can't forgive myself. And I tell them, bro, you gotta let it go. You gotta keep pushing. You got to forgive yourself because if you don't, this is where you do what I did. You think about dying every single day. You think about all your failures. All you can do, and this is all I do every single day in my life. When I wake up, I'm gonna try my best. That's it. And that helps my anxiety so much. Like those intrusive thoughts when it comes to thinking about my immortality and thinking about, oh, this could be my last day on earth, or I'm thinking, oh man, I could something could go catastrophically wrong. Bro, I have to deal with it when it gets here. But I think it is, to me, it is a disservice to yourself if you let anxiety stop you from living. Like if there's certain places you won't go, you won't travel, you won't do. I'm not saying you to travel the world, but I'm talking about there's stuff you won't do at all. You won't go to this certain store. You won't talk about this certain subject. You won't do anything in your life. You're afraid to go for it. Whether that be in a sport, whether that be in Rubik's Cube competitions, puzzling, chess, like, or some kind of other kind of physical sport. Like, I don't care what it is, like, whatever you have an obsession about or a passion about, you've got to go for those things because if you just allow your anxiety to always stop you every time you feel it, when you get those ebbs and flows, when you get the intrusive thoughts, when you get the scariness, when you get your heart pounding, or you feel that tightness in your chest, or you feel that shortness of breath, or you get the tingles, I get it. I get it. Bro, but if you let that stop you from living life, the anxiety will never get better. I can't ever guarantee that anxiety will fully go away because anxiety is part of your life. It's part of protection in your biological stuff, right? But I'm talking about severe anxiety where you feel like you can't breathe, you can't think, you got the sweats. You will. Only thing I can for sure guarantee, you will never get over your anxiety if you let it stop you at every corner. If you think it's just gonna go away without you facing it, I've never seen that. And from the people I've talked to and people who have, I've met people who've had panic attacks for 15 years. Um, for some people, panic attacks never go away. Um, For me, they did because I didn't grow up with panic attacks, so maybe my body wasn't as susceptible to it. Um, but even when I was having panic attacks, I didn't let it stop me. I was just scared to death. That's all it was. I had those panic attacks, and yes, panic attacks are exhausting, and they can last for hours. Not the panic attack itself, but I'm talking about you may have a panic attack for 10 minutes, but that panic attack after 10 minutes, it may take you 2 to 3 hours just to get back to Earth, like because it'll take you to another realm. It feels like sometimes, and so even sometimes on here, guys, as I make these, try to make these things to help. Um, and my hope is to not help with just anxiety, but people who deal with depression and stuff like that. I can't speak to all of these different things, but hopefully I can find people who can also help with these things. My goal is just to help us keep living and just keep pushing with the mental things that we're gonna have to go through. But yeah, all I could think, even when I'm on here, I don't get severe anxiety like I used to, but when I start talking about anxiety, I feel it. I feel like, oh, I have the intrusive thoughts of, oh, you're an imposter. Oh man, you could die right now talking about anxiety, talking about living life. You could have a panic attack right during this video. And those are the thoughts you just kind of have to get through. I just don't let it stop me. What you do is sometimes what they say, you kind of have to just ride the wave. You just kind of have to ride it, and keep pushing forward and keep living your life. That's just my main focus, and that's my main hope to you is that you don't just sit around wishing for it to go away. That ain't gonna happen. You are gonna have to face it. How long does that take? Doesn't matter. Okay, there's no perfect timeline. There's no 10 days if you use these 10 easy steps. It's really just gonna be like you got to look it in the face and be like, hey, you're not gonna stop me from going. Now, obviously, other stuff like meditating and being in the silence. One of the things I also did. I won't make this much too much longer, but one of the things I really did is I learned to sit in the dark with the lights off. I used to go in the closets and just sit in the dark and just take it. No music, nothing. And some days, are better than others, but that really helped. And so once you learn to be able to sit with yourself and just live life, bro, it'll work wonders in your life. And that's all I want for you guys is just to understand that you'll get through it. I promise you, if you face it, you'll get through it. Now, I don't know how, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but you'll get through it. That's the main focus. You'll get through it. Not be healed, not be recovered, not wake up every day like, ah, and the sun shines in your face and everything goes perfect. You get 18 promotions at your job or whatever. No, sometimes you're going to wake up and be like, but you'll get through it. That's the focus, okay? So, anyway, I hope this video helped you guys. I'm out of here. Peace.